Hey, it's Thursday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so that must mean opposite Saxes. Huh?
I think so.
Yeah,
I
at,
think
at
so.
least that's what it says on my watch. And my phone dinged and said, "Hey, it's time for opposite Saxes."
Your phone always dings.
Oh,
Always. It's constant.
your phone
Constant ding.
doesn't ding?
No, it really doesn't ding.
Oh,
I get
come.
phone calls.
Well, that's
I
true.
get rings, but not dinging, dinging, dinging all day. But that's
You
another
see,
show. Oh, another show. A big show.
one ringy dingy, two
To
ringy
ringy ding. Yeah,
dingies.
remember that?
That was Lily
Lucille.
Lily Tomlin.
Oh, that's right. I was going to say
Lily
Lucille
Tomlin
Ball.
on Laugh In.
Yeah, you're right. You still got it, honey.
Yeah, we're still fighting off
You
Alzheimer's.
still got it. So what are we talking
But
about today?
actually, we were talking about news, and the
Yeah.
first bit of news we got is our good friend Irving Chung, who is bigconsideration.com. That's his email address. Go to it. You'll get all kinds of information about what Irving does. He is an absolute pro at leasing. You know,
Yeah.
if you
It's
want to
amazing.
own your own business and become not leasing, franchising.
Right.
Yeah, it's almost the same thing because a franchise involves a lease usually, and he can help you with that too. But if you have ever even given the vaguest thought of having a franchise, be it a full out,
Or going into
major.
business and afraid of what lies ahead because you don't know that much.
That's right.
Then
Instead of going
he's
out
the
and
one.
pricing all your own equipment and
Right.
everything,
He
and,
can
and
help.
the advertising, marketing, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes franchising is a package deal, and you get the support of the franchisor. But the best thing to do, it's a free consultation. Contact Irving Chung. Go to the website, bigconsideration.com, and tell Irving, I don't know if I want to go into franchising, but can you give me a little information? He'll be more than happy to. Make sure you mention our name and that you saw it on Opposite Saxes, because he'll give you a good deal. He will.
No, he will. He's a good guy.
Very good guy. And he, by the way, is a franchisee. He has the Cycle Bar cycling
Yes.
shops.
Yes.
That's his franchise here in the
Yeah, I did
Texas
not
area.
know that. I didn't realize that. You
Yep.
told me
Yeah,
that.
he leads classes. So he talks the talk and he walks the walk.
Interesting. Okay.
And so we're going to talk about the news today because I am not a fan of watching the news, at least anymore. I used to be.
Well, I think it came up a lot more when we were changing our cable system out.
Well, some of that too.
And what we wanted to see in our new programming. And
Yeah,
there were some differences, let's say.
when you want to give up cable, which we did recently, and I'm really glad we did because number one, to have a cable company and have to maintain boxes in all the rooms, and there's so many advantages of cutting the cord with cable, but you have to watch out because if you like to watch your local news and local stations, not all of the non-cable companies offer that. So you have to get one that does. And I mean, we like to watch our local news. I mean, I am still a big fan of Lester Holt and like to watch the evening news with him on NBC every day. We are followers of some of the people on MSNBC in the morning, Morning Joe.
We are.
In the evening, Rachel Maddow, and some of but she is more of an avid news follower
I am.
than I am.
Because there was a point, when the kids are growing up and we were both working, I didn't have time. And when we got into discussions with friends or whatever, I felt completely ignorant of what was going on. And I couldn't carry on a conversation. And as I've gotten older and I have more time now, I want to know, what does this mean? What does that mean when Congress does this and Congress doesn't do that? So yes, I've become.
We have a Congress.
Yeah, we do. Surprise.
That's another show.
Surprise.
But you
I
know
like
what?
to know what's going on, and it doesn't have to be national. It could be Frisco news, Texas news,
Local news.
Illinois, California. You know.
Well, but if you turn the clock back 10 or 20 years, newspapers played a more important part of
Yeah.
our lives. You used to get that newspaper on your front step every morning, and you'd sit down at breakfast and you'd go through the news. And in most papers, whether they were small town newspapers or they were, the New York Times, there were sections. So you could look at the sports section, you could look at the national, international news section. But newspapers, for all practical purposes, are drying up or they're going online. And so you have to sit in front of your computer to follow the
Well,
newspapers.
what's amazing is my mom was telling me, because she likes a newspaper, loves to read the newspaper in the morning, and what she doesn't finish in the morning, she looks at lunchtime or the afternoon. And I was getting ready to pay her subscription, and I asked her, "Are you sure you still want?" "Oh, yes, 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 yes." But she says she realizes, she just found out, this is a 5-story, very large retirement home. And these people, I know they're on their computers, but there must be a lot more on their computers, or they could care less about the news at this point, because she says she is really a select few. She just found out. Very few people in the retirement home
Get the
the
physical
physical hard copy newspaper. And she was shocked. And actually, I was a little surprised.
Well,
Because you're talking older people in their late 70s, 80s, 90s.
100,
Yeah, she's
like your
100.
mom.
Yeah.
And that's why I think she likes to get that hard copy of the newspaper. It's become a routine with her.
Right.
And she's
That's
got the
right.
time all day to read a little bit in the morning, read a little in the afternoon.
Right. And then she tears out things that she wants to keep or talk to me about. But it did amaze me how, and it's a little scary. What's going to happen with our newspaper industry?
Well, but that's what I was saying. The newspaper industry is, it costs a lot for them to actually
I realize
print
that.
hard copy. So now what they're doing is they're doing it online, and so they print one copy, they put it online, and you can sit there and just go page to page.
But it's not even the price and the time, the cost, the what have you of making the newspaper. They can't find people to deliver it. I'm sure.
That's true.
I'm sure.
That's true,
that
especially
nobody wants
because
to
they
deliver
want it delivered
newspapers.
before the crack of dawn.
Right. And that's a lot of it.
Yeah, and I mean, when I was a teenager, I mean, that was a job that a lot of teenagers loved to have a paper route. That was your extra spending money.
Well, but then some of the parents go along with the kids on the paper
Sure.
route, and they'd follow in the car. Well, these days, most 2-parent households have to work,
Right.
and even 1-parent household has to work.
But it's
And they
interesting.
can't.
My old hometown newspaper, because every once in a while I like to just drop in and see what's going on, especially because they're in the process of tearing down my high school, to see the progress. They got smart. If I go in and I want to pick up the Times newspaper,
Yeah.
won't let you.
You have to have a subscription.
You have to a
Yes.
subscription, and it's $1
Yes.
a month. But you have to have a subscription in order to go
Yes.
online to follow it online.
Well, for the national news, because when you're looking at Facebook, which I do happen to be a
Follower.
big follower, which probably I shouldn't be so big of a follower. But at any rate, the news will come across like anything, and I'll click on it, and then it says Washington Post, New York Times, and I think, oh no. If it was a big news wire organization, they'd let me click on it and read it. But now the papers, you can't read it on Facebook anymore.
Well, they realize that it's a loss
yeah.
of revenue for
Yeah.
them to
I
have
mean, they're
people that
smart.
are reading for free what they're trying to get other people to pay a subscription for.
Right. And I get it. I totally get it after having a business, But at any rate, yes, I do love to watch the news. I have my times of day that I definitely like. And you'll be sitting down, and I know, if you're going to sit down next to me, I better change that channel
Well,
very
yeah.
quickly.
I try to be. I
because-
try to be. I try to be. What's the word I'm looking for? I'll say, do you want to?
Yeah,
you
you're
want to?
nice,
You want to
but-
keep watching the news, or you want to check out a movie?
And
or-
I try and be cognizant, but you say that to me before I can get my hand on the remote, because somebody always has the remote in their hand. And
Well, I try
and
to.
I
We have
say it.
an end table in between the chair and the
And
and the couch.
whoever gets to the end table first.
Yes, but
always
also there's one of us that sometimes doesn't put the remotes back on the end table so the other one can reach them. But that's another show too, about who controls their remotes. But
Wait,
But
that is another story.
but if there is a hot news story that, and I hate to say it, because I am not one that follows the political scene much anymore. I've had it up to here, because from day to day to day, it's like a rewash of yesterday's news. A political an issue, and all goes on nauseum, from all angles and all forever. And I say, just vote on the bill and get it over with. Either yay or nay, and all. But they just go on. They analyze it from every
Well, you have
every
no
angle.
patience. You have no patience.
You're right.
No patience
I
whatsoever. And it is what it is. And you just kind of learn to deal with it. And you follow along. And, oh, yeah, it's the same today.
The
Nothing else has
in-depth, what they
changed.
call the in-depth news, like the evening programs, and I have to admit, I do enjoy some of them. I like Lawrence O'Donnell, and I like Brian Williams, and I like Rachel Maddow, but the conversations seem to also follow day after day after day, and they bring the same analysts on to talk about it. And it's like, to me the news today is something like the soap operas of decades ago. You could stop watching a soap opera for 6 months, and then all of a sudden tune it in, and within one or two episodes, you're all caught up.
Well, not 6 months, maybe 3 months.
Okay, because you used to
But-
follow some
Yeah, I did.
some of the soap operas.
One or two.
And that, to me, is the way news has gone over the last so many years. Is just that they just keep rehashing it, and always under the moniker of breaking news.
Yeah, well, yeah, that has become breaking news, and it's really not breaking news.
Because they've been talking about it
Realistically.
for 4 or 5 days.
But I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, well, then I guess I'll say something.
I just went.
I mean, I can segue into the weather, because, I mean, everybody wants to turn on the TV and go to their local stations and see what's the latest weather, especially if you're in drought conditions, or you've got 4 or 5 days of constant rain and you're planning a trip, or you're following the tropics to see where the storms are going. Every few hours you tune in to see if is it heading west or is it heading east, and where's it going to go.
I remember what I was going to say.
I knew you would.
And I think it's a little important, and something that I don't think either of us have thought about. But some good friends brought up the fact that instead of keeping to the same channels that we usually flip through between 2 or 3 channels, we should look at channels that maybe we don't agree with their viewpoint.
They have an opposite point
But
of view.
yes, and it would give us another viewpoint as to why they're saying what they're saying. And I really never thought about it that way, and it really is true.
Or would it raise your blood pressure more?
It probably would, but maybe it would. My blood pressure would learn to cope with it after a while. But it would give me another viewpoint and perspective. Yes.
And that is true. But there used to be like newspapers. There were newspapers that were really more neutral in their viewpoints. And when you read the paper, it would print both sides of the argument, so that you would get a more well. Yeah. Now it's like a lot of the newspapers, they either follow the left view or the right view. The news channels follow the left view, the right view. So you have to be channel switching all the time.
And when you think about it, Isn't the news supposed to be bipartisan?
It should be, but you know what? They don't get advertisers for that. If if they follow the left point of view, there's certain advertisers that will pay for that channel.
Because I do remember the newspapers, like the Chicago Tribune, would show when they had voting issues, and they would bring up who was running for what. They would have the pros and the cons
Well,
of their
will still do that.
viewpoints, and they would list what each person believed in, and maybe the pros and the cons to that. Now you're right.
Well,
they're too partisan.
I don't know whether it's still in effect, but there used to be laws. It was in I think in newspapers as well as I know it was for sure in radio. Is that if you offered one candidate
Yes.
airtime to run his commercials,
had
you had to offer that equal amount of time
Right.
to the opposing candidates. The opposing candidates could say, I don't want to have anything to do with your station, but you had to afford that opportunity. And I think the newspapers did it too. If
did.
one candidate wanted to run a full page ad, you had to offer the same opportunity at the
Correct.
same price to all of the other
Which
candidates.
is fair.
Which is fair.
And it should be.
Yep.
But I don't necessarily think they're doing that. Although maybe they are, and the other candidate has said, thanks, but no thanks.
Well, that's where the money
We don't
issue
know.
came in now, too, is that there are some candidates that have real deep pockets and they can afford to buy those full page ads in the newspaper, whereas another candidate who is of more modest means might only be able to
well, that's,
buy a smaller,
as we say, a
ad.
whole nother story, because this political system is getting too much into this money aspect with the financing and how much you need to advertise your policies and what you believe in, and
It's
ridiculous.
regulations.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's become
The money is-
over-regulated.
But that's again another topic.
That's another show.
Oh.
And
You better be writing this down,
Yeah,
all
we
these
decided we were
topics.
going to talk about the news. There are so many aspects of the news we couldn't possibly cover it in a short amount of time. Yeah. And it's a short amount of time because it's 1:00 in the afternoon and we're getting hungry.
It is about that
eat.
time. It is about
So
that time.
we'll pick out another aspect of the news and we'll talk about it on another show. Okay, and all you got to do is make sure that you're right here to join us every Thursday, 1:00 for Opposite Saxes. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.